down this street before.
But he went on to great success in television, the movies, and Las Vegas. Dean Martin died of respiratory failure on Christmas Day at the age of...
So Jerry Lewis performed on stage in Denver despite the death Monday of his former partner, Dean Martin. Lewis made plans to appear in the musical Damn Yankees weeks ago and kept his commitment to perform even after hearing of Martin's death. Martin and Lewis made 16 movies together in the 40s and 50s. Tourists are flocking to the site where a sinkhole swallowed a house in San Francisco.
The news of Dean Martin's death very hard, but when the curtain went up on the musical comedy Damn Yankees in Denver last night, there was Jerry Lewis in the role of the devil, the role he performed on Broadway. The audience applauded loudly and long when Lewis made his appearance, the same type of response Lewis and Dean Martin received when they performed together as a now legendary comedy team. This morning, a memorial wreath was placed next to Dean Martin's star along Hollywood's Walk of Fame. The Chamber of Commerce, which maintains the walk, puts a wreath out when a star who's honored on the Walk of Fame dies. Dean Martin was 78 years old when he died Christmas Day. A private funeral is planned for later this week in Beverly Hills.
British tabloids report that Princess Diana spent much of her Christmas holiday watching television alone.
Tomorrow for the funeral, along with much of Hollywood's old guard. Last night, Jerry Lewis looked visibly shaken as he received thunderous applause from the Denver audience who came to see him in Damn Yankees.
I can't afford the wrong kind of reputation, you understand?
He never broke character to make a statement about his late partner, Dean Martin, but paid tribute to him in his own way by living up to the show business credo, the show must go on.
It will be just like brothers, you and I.
For 10 years, Martin and Lewis delighted audiences. They emotionally buried the hatchet a few years ago after a long feud. Fans at Jerry's opening last night say they were impressed with his performance during his time of grief.
I was hoping to say a few words like I dedicate this show to Dean or something like that, but it was still a good show nonetheless.
I liked the great way that Jerry Lewis was able to carry on in such a trying circumstance for him. It shows what a professional he is.
And in Hollywood today, Dean's memory was honored with a wreath placed on his star on the Walk of Fame. A spokesman for the Martin family says although tomorrow's funeral is private, there will likely be a public memorial service soon so Dean Martin's fans can pay their final respects.
As millions of Americans are talking about which movie they'll see this weekend, the Reverend Billy Graham is talking about...
On Christmas Day, the 78-year-old died with acute respiratory failure. Di apparently digs deep to achieve that figure to die for.
According to a new Harris poll of 1,000 adults. On New Year's Eve, Jerry Stiller and playwright wife Ann Mira will add an 8 p.m. show after play is selling.
They were loud, raucous, frenzied, and the first star comedy team of the TV age.
They got me, Rocky, they got me! Champagne! I made a boo-boo.
Their basic act was simple. A little song, a little dance, and a lot of lunacy.
Hello there. How about a picture of you and your girl? Hold it. Thank you.
I do all these bits. Here you are, here's the olive.
Dean Martin and Jerry Lewis met in New York in 1946. They became a sensation, attracting record crowds to nightclubs and movie theaters as well. Jerry Lewis described their act as a handsome man and a monkey, the perfect pairing of a crooner and a cretin.
I tell you what, you want to come up for Broadway? We ain't got any!
Dean Martin personified a smooth, sophisticated style.
Every time we go somewhere, why do you have to act like this, Jerry?
I didn't do nothing.
I didn't do anything.
Then neither one of us is to blame.
Jerry Lewis was the crazy clown, an out-and-out goon.
Hey! What is it? I told you to stay back there, didn't I? Didn't I tell you to stay back there?
consideration for me. I always get pushed around. You don't care that people's got feelings, that's all. I don't mind being a comedian and everything and taking the jokes, but I got feelings. I work hard, and everybody knows that nobody has the money.
Martin and Lewis made 18 movies. But to really appreciate their originality and inventiveness, you had to see them live on stage or on live TV.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to introduce my partner song, and this is a very, very beautiful tune, by the way. And this is a song that... Well, you'll have to excuse me, I was talking... Oh, yeah. Now, this is a song that my partner...
Here, you're very rude. I was talking to him, and get up. Here, I'll have to ask you not to be so impertinent. Now, here, well, if you want to fool around, try and follow me.
Everybody crazy!
Yes, sir.
Get your filthy hands up! You like the white meat, sir?
I love the white meat. Who asked you?
I think we lost the punchline of the whole sketch. What happened to the wishbone? What happened to the wishbone? Huh? We lost the wishbone. Listen. You know how accidents happen on shows? If we didn't find the wishbone, you people would be tuned in till 11:30.
Martin and Lewis stayed together for 10 years to the day, breaking up on July 25th, 1956. As solo stars, they went on to further success. But their work together was the magic that made them legends.
Goodbye to Dean Martin at private funeral services in Los Angeles Thursday. Fellow Rat Packer Shirley MacLaine, comedy co-star Jerry Lewis, and Rosemary Clooney, who sang at the service, were there along with Tony Danza and others. Frank Sinatra was said to be too distraught to attend. Martin died on Christmas Day of respiratory failure at the age of 78.
In happier news, God is taking sides in the Rose Bowl contest, or at least...
Sorrowful goodbye for a great entertainer.
Whoa, things can get pretty extreme.
It's cold outside, but what better time than...
Moran filling in for Mary Hart.
And for John Tesh, I'm Bob Goen. Thanks for joining us, everybody. Well, Old Hollywood and old pal Jerry Lewis have bid farewell to Dean Martin. The sky was dark. The only stars you could see were the ones arriving in a silent parade of cars. Here's E.T.'s Mark Steinis.
It was the night they came to say their final farewells to Dean Martin. Show business pals Bob Newhart, Don Rickles, and Shirley MacLaine solemnly arrived for the funeral. And stars like Tony Danza, Robert Stack, and Sid Charisse also came to pay their respects. But the most poignant moment was the arrival of Martin's former partner, Jerry Lewis, who took a night off from his performance in Damn Yankees in Denver. Then, Barbara Sinatra, arriving alone. Husband Frank was reportedly too overwrought to attend.
Everybody loves somebody sometime.
They remembered the good times and the music. And afterward, they told reporters Dean was the man everybody loved all the time.
It was very sad, but everybody tried to say something warm and humorous to remember all the good times everybody had with him, and that was easy because there were always good times with Dean.
Tough service for a great man. That's really all I have to say, guys.
Las Vegas, the town that loved Dean Martin, glittered with neon tributes last night. And at the Sands Hotel, where Martin and the rest of the Rat Pack entertained in the 60s, the lights were dimmed in his memory.
Now, even as the memorial service was underway, we were learning about plans for a movie about Dean Martin's life. It'll be based on the 1992 biography Dino, Living High in the Dirty Business of Dreams. Word is that Martin Scorsese may direct that film, but there is no mention as of yet who would play Dean Martin. Bob and Julie.
Okay. Thanks, Mark.
Sure.
Well, it may be an unknown who stars in that Dean Martin movie. It could be the kind of role that launches the career. We saw some of those kinds of performances in 1995. E.T.'s Jan Carl has a look at some of the...
Dozens of celebrities, including Shirley MacLaine, paid their respect at a private memorial service held in Los Angeles last night. Bob Newhart and Don Rickles were also on hand. And in Las Vegas, several hotels on the Strip dimmed their lights for 10 minutes in honor of Martin, a rarity for all but the biggest celebrities. Martin died of respiratory failure. He was 78 years old.
Dean Martin was not the only celebrity to pass away this year. The world lost quite a few memorable people. Here's a look back at some of the faces we said farewell to in 1995.
Our city to go to where? Times Square for New Year's Eve. Will we need pontoons?
Stardust, the Mirage, and the Sands all dim their lights in memory of Dean Martin. It seems like Dino was always performing somewhere in Vegas, especially with his Rat Pack buddies, Sammy Davis Jr. and Frank Sinatra. Martin died on Monday. He was 78. And now, a look back at the year
tonight, saying that she had talked to Dean Martin's spirit and he's in heaven and she's fine. Well, no, which is nice because you know Shirley MacLaine, she's into all of that. In fact, you know, she once said, in fact, she said it on the show, I think, that she had a 10,000-year-old man inside of her. Oh, big deal. So did Anna Nicole Smith. Anyway.
Movies, all those hit records, bumped the Beatles off the charts for the first time when they came over here. And so the tabloids had some stories that Dean was not looking well, and in fact, they said he was on the verge of dying. And I said, gee, you know, I would like to go see him one more time. I just want to see him. And I met this Bill Zemi, who incidentally helped write the book.
Who wrote the profile of you in Esquire.
Wrote the profile of me in Esquire magazine. Right. And he said, you know, I'm a huge Dean Martin fan myself. He said, you know that Dean eats in a restaurant every night? And
same restaurant, same seat,
yeah,
same time.
Seat, same time. I said, you're kidding me. I said, I'd love to go see him. Let's go. So I wasn't going to get out to the coast for about a half a year, but I made a date with him as soon as I knew when I was going. I was going out to do the Gary Shandling show. Made a date to go see Dean, 7:30 on, I think it was a Friday night or a Wednesday night, whatever it was. And that's the night that O.J. bolts with the Bronco. Yeah, right. You know, and the whole town, L.A. is a ghost town. Everybody's at home watching. TV. And I'm thinking, well, maybe after waiting all this time, Dean is home too. We went to the restaurant anyway, and he said if he's there, he's right on the left. We opened the door, Joe Patty's La Familia on Cannon. Opened the door, looked to the left, and there was a guy there, so I knew it was Dean. And we sat, the restaurant was very crowded, and we sat further away than I would have liked. But at least I could see him, you know, and see that he didn't look as bad, or as the tabloids had said, which was a relief to me. Then I wanted to go up and say hello. So I got the maitre d', you know, and if Charlie, I have trouble remembering people, you know, from time to time after all these years. You know, people come up to me and say, remember me? Who am I? 1965, San Diego. Well, I'm sorry, it's been 30 years. So I got the maitre d'.
Or Joy says your aunt calls and they say, Regis, this is your Aunt Ethel, because you're going to forget the name.
Exactly.
But go ahead.
So I said to the maitre d', you know, I want to say hello to Dean, but I want you to go up to him and tell him Regis Philbin, Joe, the old Joey Bishop show, anything that he would remember. And so I followed this guy up, and he bent over, and he whispered in Dean's ear, and Dean, you know, his face lit up, you know, and he was, whether he remembered me or not, he was very hospitable. I had spent a little time with him once on a movie set, and we shook hands, and it was terrific, you know, and his hand didn't have the robust feeling that it had a few years ago. And I said, Dean, you know, you're still the greatest. They had his music playing behind him.
Now, wait, they always played his music?
His records.
When he was in the restaurant.
And then when he left,
go back to them.
Over, yeah. It was a nice touch.
So what happened?
And so he said, yes, I remember, yeah, you and Joey, you know, and he sees us, he saw Kathy Lee and I every now and then on his TV set, and he was very, very nice. And I said, Dean, you know, you're still the best. And I gave him a little peck on the cheek, and I was gone. And, of course, everybody went back to the O.J. Bronco thing, but that was my moment.
And what did it mean to you?
It meant everything to me. I was happy to at least go up and tell him one more time how much he meant to me, you know. We should do that more often because, unfortunately, in the past, some people have died, and you never get a chance to tell them what they meant to you and how much they meant to you.
So many people don't even do it with their parents or parents with children.
Yeah, you should do it. You really should do it with everybody that means something to you.
You have how many children?
4.
4. And one son is a powerful story in here in which you talk about him because of an illness, lost 2 legs, his 2 legs, but has done a remarkable through force of will and perseverance. And
he's done a terrific job. Well, he was born without muscles in his legs, and at that time